You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at EnergySaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Hey friends, good Monday morning here, yeah. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. Ready to go in a whole new week. Week number 2 of the government shutdown. More and more people are hurting from it, but there is no end in sight. And in fact, things look like they're going to get even worse, because yesterday, John Boehner went on the Sunday shows to say he is not only willing to continue the government shutdown, but they're going to add to the misery. He's willing to add to the misery by Republicans refusing to raise the debt ceiling when that deadline comes up on October 17, thereby sending the entire global economy into a tailspin and wrecking the full faith and credit of the United States of America. All because the Republicans don't like the Affordable Care Act. In other words, the Republicans don't want 48 million Americans to have health insurance for themselves or their families. That's today's Republican Party. Mean, hard-hearted, stupid, reckless, suicidal, whatever you want to call them, irresponsible. And now we know who they are. And now we also know who's behind this effort to shutdown of the government. New York Times reporting the money behind it is the Koch brothers. Are you surprised? They're behind everything evil going on in this country today. And in other news, President Obama has said if he were the owner of the Washington football team, the one they call the Redskins, if he were the owner, he would be thinking about changing the name. Good for President Obama weighing in on that. So we got lots to talk about. I want you to stay right here on The Bill Press Show, Monday morning.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids
you.
how to be more than a bystander. Visit StopBullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat?
seen around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, do you realize they're already destroying the chemical weapons in Syria? That went pretty fast, didn't it?
Wait, Syria? Forgot about that.
Oh yeah, Syria. That's that country that we were going to go to war to.
That's right.
Against maybe
Boy, how quickly did you forget?
Just 3 weeks ago. Yeah, they are already destroying the chemical weapons. Why doesn't somebody give President Obama credit for that? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is a Monday, October 7th. Great to see you today. Hope you had a great weekend. Yep. Carol and I were up in New York over the weekend. Had a good time. Saw a phenomenal play. Man, if you are ever, I'd say it's going to be there at least a year, but in the next year, ever planning a trip to New York, go online right now and get tickets for The Glass Menagerie with Cherry Jones. She is one of the strongest, if not the best performance I have ever seen in my life, and I've seen a lot of theater and a lot of Broadway. Incredible. It's got a revival, of course, of the play that made Tennessee Williams so famous, but very, very powerful. It's a 3-person cast. Every one of them is a star. Every one of them is phenomenal, but particularly Cherry Jones. So we had a good weekend, and I hope you did too. Took a tour of Lower Manhattan, all the historic part of Manhattan, which, you know. Did
you just take a duck tour?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't get in one of those ducks.
I was about to say.
Yeah. There have been so many accidents with those ducks.
Those things aren't safe.
They are not safe. I see them all the time. They are not safe. No, we took a walking tour of
very nice.
Lower Manhattan. We had an excellent, very informed guide. Me.
Oh.
Now,
okay.
I printed out all the history of Lower Manhattan with a walking tour.
Really?
Yeah.
And by walking tour group, do you mean you and your wife?
I wouldn't say I didn't print it out. I pulled it up online, and then I followed it.
Fascinating.
Followed it around.
Which is just
and I
just you and Carol?
Yeah, and I didn't have to pay a guide or follow some group. I hate following a group with a guide.
Yeah.
No, I just pulled it up, and then I would read each place we went, what this was all about and everything, and then we would visit it and then go on to the next one.
Very nice. That's funny. That's new. That's a nice little day date.
This is my next...
Your next career?
My next career.
It requires you to do some talking, which you can clearly do.
Tour guide in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. You have to live
here.
Hey,
if you're coming to town, let me know. If I have any free time, I'll show you this site.
Nice little side gig.
Where the hell are we? It's October the 7th here. This is the Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital on your local progressive talk radio station and on Free Speech TV, DirecTV, or Dish Network. You can find us, of course. Love having you with us. Love having our radio show broadcast on the Free Speech TV, as well as on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. And if you don't know how to spell Talker by now, what's wrong with you? TAWKRTV, TawkrTV. Here we go. Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. Hello, guys. Good weekend.
Morning. Happy Monday. Great weekend.
All right. Good.
I made the mistake, by the way, of taking the kids to one of our favorite places to hike, which is a state park.
Oh, and it was
shut down.
Wait, a state?
Yes, it was shut down.
Why?
It was shut down.
A state park. Why state park?
You tell me. I don't know. The government shut down. I had it shut down. So it was closed.
It must have federal money. It's not.
I would imagine so. No, it's a mountain park. So we had to go down a little ways. We had to sneak in. We still went in and hiked, but we just couldn't go in the main entrance.
All right, Belisha Cruz here on the phone. She's got it covered. And did Cyprian show up this morning? I haven't seen.
I don't know. I haven't seen him. Oh yeah, he's here. He's here.
So he's locked down, shut down. Never know how bad the shutdown's going to go. Well, baseball. Man, we are still playing baseball and series. These playoffs are pretty hot, right? Let's start in the West Coast. My L.A. Dodgers with Vin Scully with the call here.
The pitch to McCann is swung on and missed, and that will do it.
Come on, Ben.
So the Dodgers tried to save Kenley Jansen. Paco wasn't able to do that, and so Kenley came in to strike out the last hitter. So that's the ball game. The Dodgers have now won 2 out of 3.
Hang on. Did you just say my L.A. Dodgers?
Well, I caught that too. Thank you, Peter.
I think you just said my L.A. Dodgers. That's funny. I haven't heard you mention them once all season.
No, I have my Nats, but when I was in L.A., I was a big Dodgers fan.
I understand it.
I interviewed Tommy Lasorda on the local station I was on out there. So I don't want to mention it because
no.
we're on a different station now in Los Angeles. But Tommy was I wouldn't say a good friend, but I was at a lot of Dodgers games. In this playoffs here.
I'm just finding curious how loyal you become now that they're in the playoffs.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
13-6 was the score yesterday. And Pittsburgh red hot.
Here's the stretch, the pitch. Bouncing ball to first. Sanchez has it! Steps on the bag! Pirates a game away from the National League Championship Series!
Yep.
Raise it high! Raise the Jolly Roger!
I love it.
Buccos
Every
defeat
time
the
raise the
Redbirds!
Jolly Roger. The Pirates.
Listen to them! Go crazy!
It is. They're up 2-1. They play today, do they? Or
yeah, I believe they play tonight.
Do they go back to St. Louis?
And if they win, then they are in the playoffs for the first time in 20 years.
Wow.
Which is
It's a big deal for the Pirates.
That is a big deal. All right, and we're going to get started here with Josh Kraushaar. Will be here from the National Journal a little bit later in this hour. Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky joining us. And Jill Lawrence from the National Journal and John Ward from Huffington Post, all our guests this morning. Plus all of you. Don't forget, you can call us anytime at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. And wait till you hear who is behind. We found out over the weekend the money behind the government shutdown. Maybe you won't be surprised to hear. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Monday. Staying in sports, Week 5 of the NFL, and there are still 3 undefeated teams. Easily, the game of the week was the Denver Broncos, going 5-0 by defeating the Dallas Cowboys 51-48 on a last-second field goal. New Orleans Saints beat Chicago to remain perfect, and Kansas City is 5-0 with a win over Tennessee. At the opposite end, 2 teams continued their winless streaks yesterday. The New York Giants are 0-5 after getting trounced by their their division rival Philadelphia, and Jacksonville lost to St. Louis. 2 other teams on bye week still winless at 0-4 as Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I know Dan didn't have his Giants hat on.
No, but at least they included it in the newscast.
At least you did that.
No, it would have been in the newscast one way or the other.
Whether you put it in there or not.
Miley Cyrus largely steered clear of controversy on Saturday Night Live over the weekend. The NBC late-night appearance was her first major TV gig since the MTV VMAs. Viewers were expecting somewhat of a spectacle, but besides her playing a slutty Michelle Bachmann in a music video parody of her song We Can't Stop, she was mostly tame.
Well,
I didn't see it.
No, I didn't either.
President Obama and Vice President Biden made a surprise trip for lunch on Friday. Not by car, not by plane, not by bus, but on foot.
Walked down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Walked out of the White House gate for 2 blocks to Taylor Gourmet, a local sub shop chain. They ordered a roast turkey sandwich and a cold cut sub. President picking up the tab and got his sandwich on wheat bread so he could tell his wife that he was eating healthy.
I wasn't sure because I was out of town whether they ate there or walked back to the White House.
It sounds like they walked back to the White House with their subs.
Yeah, but they just went down. It's right down Pennsylvania Avenue, down below 17th Street.
Right.
There's a whole string of sandwich shops there, and I was on the train and I got a flash from the White House press pool saying we're leaving. We've been told we're leaving on foot. I mean, for the press corps, the only place that I ever known that they've gone on foot is to St. John's Church, which is across Lafayette Square.
Yeah. This was like a legit 2-block walk.
Yeah.
Plus the distance it takes to get out of the White House grounds, which is not 5 feet. And it was funny watching TV.
Far, but
Said the network's breaking news: Obama goes to lunch.
Goes to lunch. Yeah. Yeah, there's a great graphic. CNBC said, "Breaking news: Obama goes to lunch." Come on, guys.
But walking out to lunch is
that is a bigger story.
There was a day when any president could do that, just walk out of the gates. Harry Truman used to walk out of the gates and take a stroll around think it was morning constitutional around Washington, D.C. Since then, no president has done that. Let's get back to the shutdown. Yeah, I got to tell you, things, there's no end in sight. This is week 2 of the shutdown. Started a week ago today. You must know that. And there is, it looks like not only is there no end in sight, but things are just going to get worse and worse and worse because John Boehner, last week Boehner was saying, well, we shut down the government and we're going to continue to shut down the government, but don't worry, we're not going to allow the United States to default on and not pay its bills on the 17th of October. We wouldn't do that. He was telling everybody privately that. Well, yesterday, he went on the Sunday shows, and Boehner said, oh, no. We're going to continue the government shutdown, and we also are ready to and willing to default on all of our obligations, destroy the full faith and credit of the United States, tank the global economy, as well as tank and destroy the U.S. economy. Yes, we're willing to do that, and we will do that unless we get our way. But, at this point, everybody wonders, what is their way? What do they want? I mean, think about it. The goal of the shutdown, right, was to shut down, either kill or defund Obamacare. Well, the shutdown doesn't have anything to do with Obamacare. It has not impacted Obamacare in the slightest, right? In fact, Obamacare, because of this opportunity now for people to sign up with the health exchanges, is going gangbusters. Plus, the Republicans have never come up with anything in place of Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. They haven't said, we don't like providing Americans health insurance this way, so we're going to provide it this way instead. So you have to ask the question, if they're not providing an alternative to the Affordable Care Act, and if the shutdown is not affecting the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare in any way whatsoever, then what is the shutdown all about? Is it about shutting down EPA? Is it about shutting down the Smithsonian museums? Is it about shutting down national parks? I mean, what is it about? They don't know. It's like the guy who said last week, we want to get something out of this. Remember Congress, like I said, we want to get something out of this. And we will get something out of this. We just don't know what we want. That's how crazy this is. That's the first thing about the shutdown over the weekend. The second thing is New York Times reporting yesterday, and I got to tell you, I didn't even realize the extent of this. This is maybe not surprising, but still shocking, that they pointed out that this getting Congress to be willing to actually shut down the government over the Affordable Care Act, using that as its excuse anyhow, didn't just happen. It was started with a big planning session in January 2013. And two of the people that took part in that were, parties that took part in, the Heritage Foundation, led by Ed Meese, former Attorney General, not led by, but this discussion was led by Ed Meese, former Attorney General for President Reagan at the Heritage Foundation. And the Koch brothers, David and Charles Koch. And the Koch brothers are one who put up the money through ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, through AFP, Americans for Prosperity, and for a new group that's called the Freedom Partners Chamber of Commerce. They put up the money. They went to members of Congress and said, hey, listen, if you can't stop this any other way, let's shut down the government and we'll fund the campaign. They're the ones that have put up that ad. Remember with Uncle Sam leering in a woman's exam. They're the ones that have put out all this stuff on college campuses, urging young people not to sign up. They're the ones that have put all ads all over television against the Affordable Care Act, and they're the ones who are in the states telling the Republican governors and funding campaigns in all the red states, don't expand Medicare, don't do it. Supreme Court said you didn't have to. That's one way to kill Obamacare. So just think of it. The Koch brothers. I wrote a book about them. What did I call them? The Obama Hate Machine, right? My latest book, The Obama Hate Machine. The lies, distortions, and personal attacks on the president. Yeah, I could write another chapter. The lies, distortions, and personal attacks on the Affordable Care Act and who's behind them. the Obama hate machine. The same people that wrote all those laws to suppress the vote, the same people who wrote the Stand Your Ground laws, the same people who organized the campaigns in Wisconsin and Ohio and New Jersey and Florida to destroy collective bargaining against public employees, the Koch brothers behind the government shutdown. 8-6 is worse than we thought. Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS here. It's the Bill Press Show, Monday morning, October 7. Let's get into it.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit StopBullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 26 minutes after the hour. Yeah, the Koch brothers have raised their ugly head again. You know, it's just about like anywhere there's any evil in this country, the Koch brothers, you can bet their money is behind it. And remember, for them, it's all about the bottom line, folks. That's look at what they're involved in. It's all about the bottom line for them. One of the biggest polluters in the country. They're trying to undo environmental laws everywhere you can. They're the big force behind the Keystone Pipeline. And, of course, they don't want to have to give health insurance or provide health insurance to any of their employees. And so they're putting up tens of millions of dollars against the Affordable Care Act and telling members of Congress, you go ahead and shut down the government. Don't worry. We got your back. We'll fund your campaign. That's what the Koch brothers are telling them. Brandon from Everett, Washington. Hey, Brandon, what do you say? Good morning.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, but what they should do is the Democrats should get together and put up ads linking the Koch brothers and all their organizations, such as the Heritage Foundation, to exactly what you said, that they're behind the shutdown. And they should let the American people know what products the Koch brothers have, like, what is it, Bounty, a Brawny paper tissue.
Yeah.
Boycott these things. I said, and make it clear. Just like the Republicans, to keep it simple. To let them know that the Koch brothers are funding this whole thing. They're behind Alex.
Well, yeah. Listen, no, I agree, Brandon. And there's not enough effort to do. That's why I try to do it everywhere I can. Why I wrote a whole book about them again called The Obama Hate Machine. Let people know who's behind it. Jeff is in Chicago. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Bill. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Just great. Thank you. What's up?
Yes, I have a question for you. I think I want to know why. What are the Koch brothers? What are they gaining from the government shutdown? Can you explain to the listener why they're doing it?
Why the Koch brothers are doing it? Well, I think that the quick answer is because they hate President Obama, and they have opposed and put money up against everything he has ever proposed. But again, so that is numero uno. The other thing is, again, their bottom line. These guys are big polluters, big ugly business types, the worst of them, and they put money in to protect their bottom line.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
What do you know? 33 minutes after the hour here on a Monday morning, October 7th. The Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital, brought to you today by the International Association of Iron Workers, the good men and women of the Iron Workers Union. Under President Walter Wise, the sky is the limit for them. Is it ever? I was at Ground Zero on Saturday and saw that magnificent new tallest building in the world now, I believe, or in the United States at any rate. Thanks to the iron workers. Visit them and find out more about their good work. That on this coast and the New Bay Bridge on the west coast.
Yeah, right.
Both monuments to the great work of the Iron Workers Union. Ironworkers.org, www.ironworkers.org. We've been talking about the shutdown, and we'll continue to talk about it, of course, throughout the hour with our guests, the program with our guests. There is other news going on, Peter.
Yeah, just moments ago in Stockholm, they announced the 2013 Nobel Prize winners in medicine, and it includes two Americans. Americans James Rothman and Randy Schekman both won, along with German-born researcher Thomas Südhoff. The Nobel Prize Committee cited their discoveries of machinery regulating vesicle traffic, a major transport system in our cells, as the reason that they won. This is just commonplace everyday stuff, the vesicle traffic among cells.
But damn, I missed it again.
You missed it again, Bill. I'm sorry.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm sorry.
All right. By the way, just before we move on, one other aspect of the shutdown is worth mentioning. It is having a very real impact politically in the governor's race in Virginia, where Ken Cuccinelli, the Republican nominee, is a Tea Partier and a buddy of Ted Cruz. And so therefore he cannot come out against the shutdown. And yet the vast majority of federal employees in this region who lost their jobs and who are not working and who are shut down live in Northern Virginia. So Terry McAuliffe, the Democratic nominee, keeps saying, come on, Ken Cuccinelli, do you support the shutdown or not? Cuccinelli has been silent. Ted Cruz attended a fundraiser for Cuccinelli last week, and Cuccinelli, over the weekend. Cuccinelli would not even have his picture taken with Ted Cruz, and he left before Cruz started to speak.
Isn't that great?
It's a huge embarrassment. If Cuccinelli were smart, he would come out and condemn the shutdown. Instead, he's going to lose all those votes of all those federal employees in Northern Virginia. So what did the Tea Partiers gain by the shutdown? Well, they pissed a lot of people off, and they're going to lose the governor's race in Virginia. Thank you, Speaker Ted Cruz. Yeah. Meanwhile, an issue we have talked about before, and I have written about, here in the Washington area, there's a little flap over the name of our football team, which I'd love to get through this segment without stating what it is.
Good luck. The Washington football team is how I usually go.
The Washington football team, right. And there's been a lot of pressure. A lot of people here, Washington Post has been beating this drum for a long time. Just change the name. Just get over it. But Dan Snyder insists he will not, under any circumstances. He said, never, 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 never. You can put it in caps, Never. And this got the issue heated up a couple of weeks ago when the commissioner of the NFL, who had previously supported Dan Snyder and the owner in not wanting to change the name, he came out and said he thought it was time to re-examine it, that even if he said, we have to be responsive to the public, and even if one person is offended by the name of Washington's football team, then we should take a look at it. That stirred up another whole round. Mm-hmm. And then you might think, I'm sure Dan Snyder was thinking, oh boy, let's weather this storm and then it's behind us, right? And it might have been for a week until President Obama, who is clearly, we know, the sports fan in chief of the United States of America, gave an interview to AP. I think it was Friday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just the end of the week. Where, of course, he was asked about Syria. Of course, he was asked about the shutdown. But they were very smart. They got in a question, knowing he's a sports fan, about the Redskins. Oh. And you know what? Oh,
you said it. Don't say that either.
Damn it.
Don't say that either.
They got in a question about Washington's football team. There you go. And the president didn't hold back.
I've got to say, if I were the owner of the team, and I knew that there was a name of my team, even if it had a storied history that was offending a sizable group of people, I'd think about changing it.
Yeah. Boy, that hit like a nuclear bomb.
Oh yeah.
In the Dan Snyder office. And the president went on saying, look, I know that a lot of people around here say, come on, this is a tradition. We've always called them this. We can't change it. And the president just said, come on.
Native Americans feel pretty strongly about it. And I don't know whether our attachment to a particular name should override the real legitimate concerns that people have.
Yeah. So the response for the Redskins to the president, rather. There I did. I said it again. See what it gets ingrained. It's tough to make a change, but we should make the change. Anyhow, the team responded through their attorney. Lanny Davis came out and responded to the president with the following statement. We at the Washington football team respect everyone, but like devoted fans of the Atlanta Braves, the Cleveland Indians, and the Chicago Blackhawks from President Obama's hometown, we love our team and its name, and like those fans, we do not intend to disparage or disrespect a racial or ethnic group. You know what? That's such a... I'm sorry. Lanny, you're a good friend. That's such a lame excuse, and it doesn't add up. I mean, I'm sorry. The Cleveland Indians is just not as offensive as the name of the Washington team. It's not.
That argument always comes up, and I'm willing to listen to the argument that says, hey, like the Braves, the Indians, the Blackhawks, these are sort of nicknames that imply bravery and courage and things like that. I still think that it might be a little...
By the way,
hinky, but whatever. That's fine.
But change them all, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure, yeah.
Change them all. But the one that's most offensive.
The one here in Washington particularly is a direct slang term for the color of someone's skin. That, I think, you make a big difference between that and, say, the Indians or the Braves or whatever.
The other one, Lenny says in his complete statement, the name of the Washington football team is 80 years old.
I love that.
Yeah, come on.
What an argument.
It's 80 years old, right. It's our history and legacy and tradition. We fans sing Hail to the Washington football team every Sunday as a word of honor, not disparagement. Yeah.
That's what... And by the way, I believe, I don't think that anybody that's...
I shouldn't say anybody, but I believe that most people are saying it out of tradition. I don't think anybody really means it as a slur.
When they're standing in the stands or sitting at home or whatever and singing that song, they're not saying we're proud to be racist.
I don't think those people are racists.
No. But the fact is, it is a racist term, and a lot of people are offended by it, and there's no need to continue to use it. And I just say, I'm sure that the White House, when they scheduled this interview, never expected what was going to come out of it.
Right.
But I love the fact that the president, he didn't duck it. He jumped right into it, and it keeps the issue alive, which should be kept alive. When we come back on the news of the day, National Journal does a great job through the hotline of keeping on top of it. It's a great thing to follow every day. We follow it, check in every Monday with Josh Kraushaar, who's the editor-in-chief of the hotline. We'll do that next on this Monday edition of the Bill Press Show.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
is the Bill Press Show.
14 minutes before the top of the hour, Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky joining us at the top of the next hour. Washington moving into week number 2 of the government shutdown with no end in sight, at least not any that I can see. Maybe Josh Kraushaar sees it a little differently. He's the editor-in-chief of the National Journal Hotline, joining us as he does every Monday morning. Hey, Josh, good morning.
Good to be back, Bill.
Thank you. So it looked like that Speaker Boehner yesterday, so-called Speaker Boehner, I guess, maybe because everybody's talking about Speaker Cruz, but he upped the ante yesterday, as I saw it, saying we're not only going to keep the government shut down, we're ready to default if necessary if we don't get our way on Obamacare.
Yeah, Bill, that was a soundbite of the Sunday shows this past weekend, but I wouldn't read too much into that comment because we've seen this game played before, and Boehner is trying to get as much leverage as he can when that October 17th debt ceiling deadline is here. And, I don't think it's a huge surprise that Republicans have been trying to use the debt ceiling, and Boehner particularly was trying to convince his caucus to use the debt ceiling as the point of maximum leverage. Now, the game has changed now that the government is shut down and that the Republicans played their cards early. But I wouldn't read too much into Boehner wanting the government to shut down or his caucus wanting to shut the government down. I think that's his version of trying to suggest he wants to go to the bargaining table and he's trying to maximize his leverage as much as possible.
Well, the other thing that the speaker said yesterday, which raised questions to me, in his interview, this was with George Stephanopoulos, the second bite that we have there, where he's talking about, because a lot of people have said, just have a vote of the full House and we can get this over with. Here's the speaker.
There are not the votes in the House to pass a clean CR.
Not the votes in the House. Well, we've seen every Democrat has come, just about every Democrat has said they would vote for a clean CR, and 21 Republicans have said they'd vote for a clean CR. How can he say that, Josh?
Yeah, I think the math is there. The math is there to get the 218 votes necessary, or at least it would be very, very close. Now, it would cause a revolt in his caucus. Because
well, that's different than saying the votes aren't there, though, right?
Yeah, we don't have to. He is technically right in that the number of Republicans who have publicly said that they'd vote for a clean CR isn't quite enough yet if you add them to every single Democrat in the House caucus to get you to 218, but you come very, very close. The bigger numbers, or the numbers that Boehner is looking at, are about the 25 or so House Republicans who have been much more pragmatic on this versus about 60 or 70 House Republicans who are the ones who would just raise bloody hell if Boehner showed his cards and showed that he's not going to do any of the bargaining or basically not get anything out of this deal after shutting down the government for over a week. So, Bill, I do think that the debt ceiling is, the New York Times reported last week, and I've heard similar things from Republican sources, they aren't willing to go over the barrel over the debt ceiling. We're less likely to see a huge crisis over that. But that said, there are a significant number of Republicans. You saw Rand Paul on Meet the Press as well. That's just that not paying our debts isn't that big of a deal. Not raising the debt ceiling isn't all that much of a catastrophe. So,
listen, there are a good number of Republicans who would be willing to default on our obligations in order to make their point. But I guess, Josh, also we're getting to the point where what I'm wondering is, what is the shutdown all about? I mean, if the shutdown is supposedly, right, to defund, kill, or repeal, or delay Obamacare, it has nothing to do with Obamacare, right?
Yeah, nominally it's about health care, but to borrow a line from Seinfeld, this really is kind of the shutdown about nothing, because over the weekend, the unanimous vote in the House, Republicans and Democrats voted to fund the back pay of government workers. So that was a sticking point in the last shutdown, that a lot of Republicans didn't want to pay the back pay.
Yeah, and they voted unanimously, didn't they, in the House? Right?
Not a single vote was against that.
All right, so we're paying now. So we're paying federal employees to stay home again in order to make what point?
Well, and it's not just that. Most the Defense Department workers are now returning to work today because of a rule that the Defense Department found that allows them. So most of the Defense Department is now back to work. all the emergency workers, NIH, all the bills that were passed over the last week to put pressure. They're not back to work, but there's Republicans are now on record as saying that they want certain departments funded in the meantime. So the big question is, what is this about? It's not about spending; it's about health care. But we know that that's ultimately not going to be part of a final deal.
Right.
So this is really the government shutdown about nothing. It's hard, on a public relations point of view at least, to look at Republicans and ask them where their position is. And if you ask 3 different Republicans in the House, where do you stand? What's your position? You'll get 3 different answers.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one kind of I don't know, companion issue to this shutdown is happening in the state of Virginia in the governor's race, Josh, right? We're talking, by the way, folks, with Josh Kraushaar, who is the editor-in-chief of the National Journal, nationaljournal.com, National Journal Hotline. This certainly plays in Northern Virginia because so many federal employees live there, right?
It's a huge issue in Virginia, the governor's race between Terry McAuliffe and Ken Cuccinelli. And one of the big event of the weekend was that Ken Cuccinelli appeared on the same stage as Ted Cruz at a social conservative event down in Richmond over the weekend. What was very, very interesting is that the Cuccinelli campaign was very, very careful. They were reaching out to a lot of reporters saying this is not a campaign event. This is just we're just happen to be at the same event together. Mm-hmm. And Cuccinelli, his career, he's been in the most. He's been a very outspoken conservative like Ted Cruz has been, and it's not like he's ever distanced himself before from Cruz. It shows how important and how significant the issue of the government shutdown is playing in the Virginia governor's race. Cuccinelli is already behind in polls. He can't afford to have any misstep in the final month of the campaign, and this is the last thing he wanted in the final month.
Yeah, and Terry McAuliffe, to his credit, keeps saying, "Come on, Ken, where do you stand on the shutdown?" Right? And
then you actually had a radio ad from Cuccinelli saying he actually is against. He actually explicitly said at the end he's against the government shutdown and was trying to accuse McAuliffe of being supportive of a government shutdown. So it shows how when even the Cuccinelli campaign realizes this is a very, very significant issue, and they're going up on air with an ad trying to turn the table. Yeah. It shows how potent the issue is.
So the end result of the government shutdown may be losing the governor's race in Virginia, right?
And Cuccinelli was already behind, but yeah, it certainly doesn't help matters. And Virginia, Bill, as you know, it always, in the last 20, 25 years, has voted opposite the president in power.
Yep.
If the Democrat wins with President Obama in power, that would be a big signal to the Republicans on where the momentum is.
No, absolutely. It will be a real change in direction for Virginia. Hey, Josh, starting the week off, week number 2. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
All right. Josh Kraushaar, the National Journal editor-in-chief of their hotline, nationaljournal.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot. I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go. Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky at the top of the next hour. Then we'll be joined by Huffington Post's senior political reporter John Ward in studio with us. Peter.
Just a quick reminder, we are on Twitter at BP Show, and Pragmatic Liberal just wants to remind everybody, if you have Apple TV, you can or YouTube, you can always watch our show on YouTube. You can use it on your iPad or your iPhone, so
yes,
make sure you check that out.
Thank you.
Also on the Tea Party, Honesty Broker says the Tea Party likes to wrap themselves in the American flag, but in practice, they wipe themselves with the American flag. You can join that conversation on Twitter at BP Show.
Yeah, don't tell me they're the American flag party when they're willing to shut down the government and destroy our faith and credibility because of their hatred of Obama.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at EnergySaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Hey, friends, good Monday morning here, yeah. Hope you enjoyed the weekend, ready to go in a whole new week number 2 of the government shutdown. More and more people are hurting from it, but there is no end in sight, and in fact, things look like they're going to get even worse because yesterday, John Boehner went on the Sunday shows to say he is not only willing to continue the government shutdown, but they're going to add to the misery. He's willing to add to the misery by Republicans refusing to raise the debt ceiling when that deadline comes up on October 17, thereby sending the entire global economy into a tailspin and wrecking the full faith and credit of the United States of America. All because the Republicans don't like the Affordable Care Act. In other words, the Republicans don't want 48 million Americans to have health insurance for themselves or their families. That's today's Republican Party. Mean, hard-hearted, stupid, reckless, suicidal, whatever you want to call them. irresponsible, and now we know who they are, and now we also know who's behind this effort to shutdown of the government. New York Times reporting the money behind it is the Koch brothers. Are you surprised? They're behind everything evil going on in this country today. And in other news, President Obama has said if he were the owner of the Washington football team, you know, the one they call the Redskins, if he were the owner, he would be thinking about changing the name. Good for President Obama weighing in on that. So we got lots to talk about. I want you to stay right here on The Bill Press Show, Monday morning.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit StopBullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, remember Syria? We were going to bomb them a month ago. Today, we learned they are already destroying their chemical weapons. They've started destroying their chemical weapons under the United Nations resolution. Score one for President Obama. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? Happy Monday, October 7. Good to see you today, and thank you so much for joining us here. It is the Bill Press Show. Coming to you live from our nation's capital, our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and reaching out to you all across this great land of ours on your local progressive talk radio station. This radio show also carried on Free Speech TV, on DirecTV and the Dish Network, and on YouTube, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. We can watch on your computer. So you can listen, you can watch, you can also sound off and participate in the conversation. Join our town hall of the morning here by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. By joining us on Twitter, sending us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Here we go. Team Press in place this morning. Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. Hello, guys.
Hey.
Bill, good morning.
Hope you had a great weekend. Ready to go this morning?
Yes, sir.
With Alicia Cruz on the phones and Cyprian Bolding, as always, keeping us looking good. With the help of all of our makeup team here.
That's right.
Keeping us looking good on
a lot of work.
On the video screen. Yes, indeed. Saturday Night Live. Saturday night, of course, their weekend update. They took a look at the shutdown. We are now in week 2, believe it or not, of the shutdown. Started last Monday morning, remember? So for the first week, who were the winners? Who were the losers? Here's how that went.
Loser, John Boehner. I feel sorry for you, buddy. It's exhausting watching you try to maintain your dignity while wrangling those Tea Party maniacs. You're like Seinfeld if there were 30 Kramers.
Winner, the Tea Party. It's always nice to see a vocal minority get their way. You're like the naked lunatic that gets his own subway car. So congrats on soiling yourself into power.
And there were other winners and other losers.
Loser, the Obamacare website, which had technical issues all week because of too much web traffic. You can't campaign on the fact that millions don't have health care and then be surprised that millions don't have health care. How could you not be ready? That's like 1-800-Flowers getting caught off guard by Valentine's Day.
So true.
Winner, Canada. Senator Ted Cruz was born in Canada. So while we were worried about Iran, China, and North Korea, a Canadian shut down the U.S. government. Well played, Canada.
So true and so funny. That's really great.
That's great.
All right. Hey, Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky, joining us here at the top of the of this hour. A little bit later, John Ward from Huffington Post, and then in the next hour, Jill Lawrence from the National Journal. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Monday in playoff baseball. The Pittsburgh Pirates are one win away from getting into the NLCS thanks to an 8th-inning RBI by Pedro Alvarez to beat the St. Louis Cardinals 5-3 yesterday. They now lead that series 2-1. The LA Dodgers also one game away from their series win after a 13-6 drubbing of the Atlanta Braves in the American League. It's the Detroit Tigers and Oakland Athletics. They are tied at 1 game apiece, while the Boston Red Sox can advance today to the AL Championship Series. They are up 2-0 over the Tampa Bay Rays.
And the Athletics playing
Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're tied at 1 game each.
They're at 1 game each, okay. What happened to the Braves, by the way?
I mean, they're going back and forth here. I mean, they won a game. The Braves are strong. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like they're getting trounced, but they still have a shot. We'll see what happens. If they can pull it back.
Pirates, though, are on fire.
They really are on fire.
That's fun. Good. I'd love to see them win.
Yeah.
Roseanne Barr is not happy with the folks behind the hit show 2.5 Men. The comedian went on a Twitter tirade after last week's new episode. She accused Ashton Kutcher and producer Chuck Lorre of stealing her material. There was a joke about aging that appeared on the show and was very similar to one about menopause that she has been telling for years. She said, "I would steal one of their jokes to make it even," she wrote, "but they all suck." So, no response from the CBS camp yet, but later over the weekend, Roseanne did send out a simple tweet saying she forgave Ashton and blamed the theft on the show's writers.
She's a tyrant on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And finally, the children of Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut are getting a brand new school. Newtown voters accepted a $50 million grant from the state to build a new school by a 4,500 to 550 vote. They will start building later this year to replace the one where those 26 people died last December.
Good for Connecticut to do that. And good for Sandy Hook bouncing back. Thank you, Dan. Yes, indeed. Here we are, the beginning of week number 2 of the shutdown. Congressman John Yarmuth, good friend of the program, Democrat from Kentucky, here I'm on our news line this morning, unable to make it into the studio. Hey, Congressman, always good to have you with us. Good morning.
Thanks, Bill. Good morning to you.
So 2 weeks ago, we said, we are on the countdown to the shutdown. And now it looks like, after Speaker Boehner's comments yesterday, we're on the countdown to default. Is that right?
Well, he sure sounds that way. And, it's mystifying to all of us. Everyone around the world, all of his fellow, not all of them, many of his fellow Republicans, many of the think tank people that rely on him, many of the people who fund the Republican National Campaign Committee are telling him this is insanity, and yet there doesn't seem to be any give in him at all. And he's playing with fire right now. I think every metaphor that is possibly conceivable has been used to describe the nuttiness that's going on. But it's extremely frustrating. I think everybody's head around Congress is about ready to explode because nobody can make any sense of this.
Well, I was at the White House last week when the leaders of Wall Street, all the major financial institutions were there. I met with the president. Lloyd Blankfein from Goldman Sachs talked to us afterwards at the White House press corps, and he said they were going up to the Hill to give to John Boehner the same message they gave to President of the United States, that defaulting on our obligations and not raising the debt ceiling on October 17 would send the global economy and the U.S. economy in an absolute tailspin. Now, if they tell that to John Boehner, what, these Republicans just don't care? How can they not?
Well, I agree with you, but to be honest, a lot of these members are going home and they're hearing, hey, don't raise the debt ceiling, because people, the vast majority of Americans, not to say the vast majority, but a lot of American citizens don't understand what the debt ceiling is.
They think it means that we're going to spend more money, right?
Right, exactly. So they're getting many of these members are getting reinforced rather than criticized. That's one of the big problems. The thing that I've been trying to figure out over the last few weeks is, everybody says this is about 40 or 50 Republicans basically running the show. And so why is that a problem if there are 170 left? And I think I've finally figured out why. It's not really about saving Boehner's job. It's if 40 or 50 Republicans don't vote for Boehner as Speaker, then Nancy Pelosi becomes Speaker.
Of course. Right. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they lose control of the House, even though they might not lose control of the majority. They essentially lose control of the House. And that's kind of, I think, one of the internal dynamics that are driving this thing.
Now, the Speaker said something yesterday on ABC News with this week with George Stephanopoulos, Congressman, which I really found it stumps me. Let's first of all hear, and the issue here is, as several people have suggested, we could resolve this whole thing if we just had a vote on the full House floor on a clean CR. But here's Speaker Boehner.
We are not going to pass a clean debt limit increase.
Under no
I told the
circumstances-
president, there's no way we're going to pass when the votes are not in the House to pass a clean debt limit. And the president is risking default by not having a conversation with us.
Now, Congressman, you heard him say, the votes are not in the House. Huffington Post, Jennifer Bendry from Huffington Post this morning has a story identifying 22 Republicans now. 22 Republicans. And she's got a quote from every last one of them saying that they would vote for a clean CR. And if you add that to the Democrats, there are enough votes, aren't there?
Clearly, there are enough votes. And, what I would respond to Speaker Boehner is, if that's the case, go ahead and test it. Put it on the floor. If you're right, that it strengthens your hand.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, we're all out of this thing. So I don't understand the downside of putting it on the floor. And so if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, then we move to the next battle.
Now, I mean, there may be one or two Democratic defections. What are the 200 Democrats? Yeah, 200 Democrats, 200. Right? But several members here have told us that all two, including most recently Jim McDermott, Friday morning, said that that you guys have caucused, and everybody says they would vote for a clean CR. But,
absolutely, and 195 Democrats have actually signed a letter saying that. So
really? Okay.
Yeah, so there are 195 on record. So if you add the 22, that's enough to get it done.
That's enough to get it done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the 22 are those who have publicly said they would vote for a clean CR. There are others, right?
Exactly. If there's a vote, there would be far more than that, if there actually were a vote.
Congressman John Yarmuth, our guest from Democrat from Kentucky, here on this Monday morning edition of the Bill Press Show. Now, Congressman, I want to ask you about the vote. I know you voted for it because it was unanimous. The vote to give federal employees, once they come back to work, they'll get paid for the days that they were furloughed, right? But,
that's correct.
So what are we doing? Are we really paying people to stay home, to do nothing?
Exactly right. We are paying people to stay home and do nothing.
I'm sorry. This is nuts, isn't it?
It is totally nuts. And I think that's the thing that I've been saying the last week that's so frustrating is this makes no sense. There is absolutely no rational way to justify any of this. It's just incredible. And, I understand why nations around the world and editorials around the world are just ridiculing us because none of it just makes sense. There's no way that anybody can explain it. And Marlon Stutzman's comment was a perfect reflection of that. And Marlon's a really nice guy. I like him a lot. Neighboring state, but to say we don't know what we want. Bill Maher mocked that pretty well Friday night, saying, "What do we want? We don't know. When do we want it now?"
Yeah, and so that does raise the question, doesn't it? As to, I think more and more people are scratching their head. Maybe more and more Republicans are scratching their head at this point and saying, "What is this shutdown really all about?" We thought it was about the Affordable Care Act, but obviously it's not. Right?
Well, it actually was, but now that train has left the station, to throw another metaphor out there. And now it's like we're stuck here on the railroad platform with no way to move anywhere. That's really where things are.
Yeah, I mean, because as we know, the Affordable Care Act is still in business. In fact, even more so now with these health exchanges, right? This whole new burst of life. And so the efforts to kill, derail, defund, delay, or whatever Obamacare have sort of gotten lost and people are asking, again, why are we doing this, right?
Exactly. And in Kentucky, it's kind of interesting. Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell published an op-ed last week talking about Obamacare and basically not saying anything new, not offering any alternative, just saying how bad it was and how people don't want it. And yet our exchange is up and running. We had more than 100,000 individual visitors to our state exchange website. In the first 2 days, we've got about 7,000 or 8,000 who've already signed up. We've got 120 businesses that have already enrolled. So you have to figure that's another 2,000 or 3,000 people. And so, and this morning in the Courier-Journal, there were 6 letters to the editor, all of them saying, what are you talking about, Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell? You just don't make any sense. So it's Kentucky, I think, is a model for the country. We've done it very well here. The governor's embraced the Affordable Care Act, and it's running pretty smoothly. So, but people do want it. There's no question about it. Does everybody want it? No, but most 80% of people already have insurance, so they don't really care.
Right, but more people,
anyway.
And the more people who get in it, the more people who are going to want it. And that's what I think that's what Republicans are afraid of. It will prove so successful. Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky. Well, Congressman, go back there and get to work and see if you can knock some heads together and make some sense with these guys.
Okay, we'll try.
All right, John Yarmuth, great guy from Kentucky, and fighting the good fight down there and in the United States Congress.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit StopBullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go, 26 minutes after the hour. John Ward, senior political reporter for Huffington Post, joining us in studio for the next half hour right now. We'll go on with the news of the day. A couple of items to tell you about. Peter?
Yeah, last week we talked a lot about Healthcare.gov, the launch of the website where you could get registered for Obamacare. It had its fair share of problems. A lot of people went there and they weren't ready for the traffic, so they had a really hard time getting people signed up. Over the weekend, they actually took it down during some of the some hours to try and work on it, build it up, fix it. Of course, this gave Republicans the opportunity to come on and pounce and say, well, if the administration can't get the website fixed, how are they going to fix the whole system? It's back up. I'm on the website now and sort of skimming around. It seems to be working fairly well. I haven't gone all the way through it, but hopefully they got the kinks worked out of the system there.
By the way, John Yarmuth telling us that 7,000 or 8,000 people had signed up during the first week in first few days in Kentucky is the first time I've seen any numbers on actual signups. And, out of 100,000 checking the website, if 8,000 signed up, that's a pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
Particularly in the first couple of days, because
Exactly.
this is a time when people are shopping. But I got to tell you, if I were President Obama, I would be raising holy hell over this website. I mean, it is true that they got maybe more response than they expected, and it's true that there was a lot of traffic and it crashed the site. But damn it, again, as they said on Saturday Night Live, this is like ProFlowers, right? Or for Mother's Day or Christmas or Valentine's Day, they do a huge campaign to get people to buy flowers, and then the website can't handle the orders? That is totally unacceptable. Unfortunately, it looked like amateur hour at HHS in this case. If I were Kathleen Sebelius, I'd be raising hell too. Get it fixed. Fix the damn thing.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
You got it, 33 minutes after the hour now. Monday morning, October 7, the Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital on your local progressive talk radio station, coast to coast, on Free Speech TV and on youtube.com/TawkrTV if you want a video stream, Tawker, TAWKR TV. Brought to you today by the National Education Association, the good men and women, good teachers of the NEA under Dennis Randvocal, their president, creating great public schools for every child in America. You bet. Find out more about their good work at NEA.org. In studio with us, a good friend and a neighbor here on Capitol Hill, senior political editor for Huffington Post, John Ward. Hey, John, how you doing?
Bill.
Nice to see you. Happy Monday. The politics of the moment for a senior political editor, everything is really the politics of funding the government right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think increasingly the debt limit, right? Because
we seem to have moved in a week from the shutdown now to the debt limit, which is a week away.
Yeah, I mean, the consequences are potentially far more serious.
Which
for the debt limit.
Right.
Yeah.
Far more serious. But does that improve or not the chances for some resolution?
It definitely increases it. Whether or not we can get there, in time is the question. We'll get there, but it's just a question of what the consequences are. I was reading today, I think October or November 1 is, I think, when, or the end of October is really when Treasury is up against it and can't go any further without an increase. And I'm sure you'll see Tea Party guys talking about that, hey, the 17th isn't really, but the problem is,
just a quick note on that. Maybe someone don't realize you don't have to wait until the very, very last minute to get something done, right? I mean,
if you get inside their head, I think they want to increase their leverage, blah, blah, blah. But the problem, I think, from even a conservative point of view, is that the more that you continue to go play with this, borrowing costs start to ratchet up, and that increases deficit and debt. So I think that's something that they'll have to confront in the debate.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but I was reading the polls this morning. The American people blame Republicans more than Democrats. I think it was like 45-35, the numbers
Sounds
that I
about
saw.
Right. Yeah.
Which is not like overwhelming, but still, there's no doubt that, and Karl Rove made this point yesterday on Fox News Sunday, that Republicans are going to bear the brunt of this political brunt of this shutdown. So why are they doing it?
Well, there's been a couple good pieces over the last few days, I think, that kind of get at the deeper reasons for this. One would have been Ross. I can't ever remember how to say his name. New York Times.
Duhat. I always say Duhat, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have some caller
Douhat.
I know what it looks like on paper, but yeah, I can't say it.
Duhat. Anyway, he had a blog post last Wednesday where he talked about sort of the way that a lot of conservatives, have felt that even going back to Reagan was sort of a bump in the road for the liberal, vision of government going forward from FDR forward. The government didn't really get that much smaller. Spending didn't.
It actually increased under Reagan.
Right.
Yeah, size of the federal government actually increased.
Right. Well, the size of the federal government, if you measure by spending a percentage of GDP, has stayed pretty constant since World War II. It's ratcheted up over the last several years, in large part because of the bailouts in 2008 and the stimulus. But a lot of conservatives, Duhat was pointing out, feel like it's just been continually compromised in the direction of the vision opposite them. And then actually Dan Balls from the Washington Post had a piece, I think, yesterday, where he talked a little bit more about that, but also measured more of the structural reasons, redistricting, greater concentration of liberals in cities, to kind of understand why we're rooted in this this dysfunction, which he quoted somebody saying it's worse than Reconstruction. So you have sort of, on the one hand, structural reasons why the two parties are further apart, see things more differently than ever in a long time. And then on the Republican side, you feel like, I think a lot of the conservatives feel like they haven't made much progress, and so they feel like, we're going down the hole anyway from their point of view. So we need to just tear stuff up.
So we might as well take everybody else down with us, right? Well, here's the question:
I'm not sure that's how they think about it.
Yeah,
but that may end up being a short term.
Well,
result.
so let's accept that that's their thinking, and that's why they're here, and that's what they want to do, right? But how many of them are there
in the House?
Yeah.
Well, estimates vary. I mean, there's as much, as few as a dozen or 20 to 2 or 3 dozen.
Right.
I think it depends on the vote too.
Right. But no matter what number they're a relatively small percentage of the number of members of Congress, and they're a relatively small percentage of the Republican Party, and yet they are running the show. And it seems, from an observer, right, that the Republican Party is letting the most extreme element of the Republican Party run the show.
Here's the thing. I think that the biggest difference...
And they are. John Boehner himself is not that kind of Republican, right? George Bush was not that kind of Republican. Karl Rove is not that kind of Republican. Mitch McConnell's not that kind of Republican.
I would agree with you to some degree on that. But I think the bigger divide between these two camps of Republicans is actually tactical. I think a lot of them agree on issues. John Boehner, the biggest issue for him is the debt. And he's been focused on that. I believe he would lose his speakership if he could get a grand bargain that upset, the base, the right that would want more. But he does share that concern with them. It's just a matter of intensity of feeling, I guess, and a lack of agreement over the means.
I disagree. I think that the majority of Republicans in this country and in the Congress want to resolve issues and want to solve problems and want to get things done.
I think we're saying
the
the same
Tea Party
thing.
does not, John. They are not here to govern.
But
they are not here to make things better. They are here to destroy.
I don't know if I believe that they want to destroy. I think they genuinely want to, bring about their vision of better governance. They may think that
their
to
vision
get
of
there,
better governance is no governance. Listen to what they say. They hate the government. That's why they ran.
Some
they
do.
Hate the
some
government.
do. Some do. Especially,
and they're the ones who are running the show.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about it.
They're having a lot of influence, and Boehner certainly could have brought, it appears, a clean CR.
Right.
To the floor and
well,
got
I want to ask you,
Democratic votes.
all right, Huffington Post, I'm our friend, Jen Bendery, your colleague, my friend, and good member of a friend of this show. this morning. She's got a great piece where. I'm sorry, I was talking to the microphone.
We're on the radio, Bill.
Yeah, I know. The radio's new to me. I haven't been doing it that long. Where she says, so Boehner yesterday. All right, let's play that quote. I love this clip. One more. The second clip from Boehner yesterday on This Week with George Stephanopoulos.
Are not the votes in the House to pass a clean CR.
Not the votes. He said, as you said, we could pass a clean CR. He said, they're not the votes there. Now to Jen Bendery's piece. She has a great list of 22 now Republicans, and she's got a quote from every one of them. So just to prove that she didn't make this up, every one of them. And if they're
why would she?
Right.
Jen Bendery, come on.
No, exactly. But I mean, people might say, oh, yeah, she says 22, but yeah, is it really 22? So she quotes every last one of them.
Right.
And there's some privately, I'm sure, who would vote that way. But if you take 200 Democrats and 22 Republicans, you're there, baby.
Yeah.
So how can Boehner go around saying there aren't enough votes to pass it? He just lies?
Maybe he has a different definition of the votes.
Yeah, right.
Republican votes. It does appear he's very concerned about losing his speakership. And then the question is that a selfish concern entirely? Of course, it's partially selfish. Or is there some concern for the institution? Because there is a legitimate question. What happens if he loses the speakership? Do we get something better or do we get something worse?
It depends on your definition, but I think, what you could get is you could get Nancy Pelosi as speaker.
Yeah.
Even though the Republicans control the majority.
Right. Well.
Yeah.
Right. So from Boehner's perspective, do you want that? No. So I mean, everybody's maligning him for, I guess, being sort of self-protecting, but I think he's got other interests as well.
But it comes down to the fact if Jen is correct, and I think she is. If there are those 22 Republicans, that there are enough votes in the House for a clean CR.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's been any real doubt about that.
And
for a while.
there's one man who will not allow that vote.
Yes, but I think again you have to think through. Does he want that for the Republican Party's sake? No, he doesn't. And for the next year, you still have to deal with this Republican majority. How does that go if you've got Eric Cantor or somebody else who probably can't do a much better job of controlling this?
I think you're being very fair and very kind, but unnecessarily kind to him. I think it's all about John Boehner, and he's basically
you
saying,
believe it's all about?
Yeah, I think he's basically, my job is more important than the job of 800,000 federal employees and the faith and credit of the United States of America.
Yeah, I understand. I understand why people think that.
Like
I just don't.
Bob Dole.
I think there's more to it.
When the last shutdown, Bob Dole stood up on the floor of the Senate and said, "Enough is enough. All right, we're just going to fund the damn thing."
I mean, you don't think
we're just
John Boehner
end the damn
would
thing.
love to just go home to Ohio and play golf, or stay in D.C. and be a lobbyist and play golf?
I think John Boehner is just not the leader that Bob Dole was.
It would be interesting to see Tom DeLay give some advice to him on how to run the
We're into the shutdown. You enjoyed the conversation here, or our debate, or whatever, on the Bill Press Show with John Ward. 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E.
Racing dog, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
All right, here we go. 11 minutes before the top of the hours. In studio with us, senior political reporter from the great Huffington Post, HuffingtonPost.com, the great John Ward. John, good to have you with us. Peter, you got a comment to throw in?
Yes,
there?
indeed. We're on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. Find us there. We'll also just give you the link every day there where you can watch the show live online. An interesting comment from Bobby D., who is in John Boehner's district in Ohio, says, what shutdown? We have people going back to work at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Those are John Boehner voters. And locally, they're calling it the partial shutdown there in Ohio, which is very interesting.
It is a partial shutdown, right, John? I mean, it's very much pick and choose kind of shutdown. And we were just talking to Congressman John Yarmuth at the top of the hour. What I don't understand is this vote, a unanimous vote by the House of Representatives Saturday evening to give back pay to all the 800,000 employees who have been furloughed. Now, they're not coming back to work, but they know they're going to get paid for the time that they're off. So we're paying people to stay home and do nothing.
Right. I mean, I actually wish that we could give them paid vacation, but that's for some reason not been allowed. But yeah, our next door neighbor is furloughed. A person 2 doors down from us is furloughed. So we're seeing the impact around us.
Yeah. I just don't. I understand.
I'm relieved. I'm glad. I
am
understand
too.
what you're saying, but I'm glad.
No, I am too. But at the
people-
same time, to me, it underscores the nonsense. Meaning, really, nonsense. Meaning, what is it all about? If we're telling them just to stay home, but we're going to pay you, then why not let them come to work? come to work, do your job, right?
Well, I mean,
what's the point?
I think it's bizarre.
What is the point? Let me ask you that. What is the point of this shutdown, do you think now?
Well, I think originally Boehner wanted it to be sort of the prelude to the debt limit thing, but the point
what is it
from
all
the
about?
right
What is it
was
all
to
about
drive the
today?
Obamacare messaging. That was Cruz's point.
But it has nothing to do with Obamacare. Obama's still in business.
No, it
people
doesn't.
Are checking
but look,
in.
I think I was just aghast at the Cruz strategy. I would say a month out. I think having watched it play out, I've been surprised the degree to which I think he was successful at doing what he wanted.
Do you think most Americans today understand why the government is shut down?
No, which is why I think Cruz is more successful than we think. Because he simply made it a big issue, Obamacare.
But then if
and
they
said,
don't,
we don't like this.
But then if they don't, it means that okay, Americans know the the government is shut down for nothing, right? For no reason. It's not shut down for Obamacare because Obamacare is still alive. I don't know. I'm just saying. I just think they've lost the message. There is no message today. Beverly's calling from St. David, Illinois. Hi, Beverly. Beverly.
I'm on fire. You want to hear what I got to say?
Yep, I want to hear it.
Your guest is a fool. Okay?
Oh no! Come on, Beverly. We do not engage in personal
Only
attacks.
Bill could call guests fools.
That's right.
Well,
Just say why you disagree with
There's 50
Joe.
members
Yes.
that are Tea Partiers. There are at least 20 to 25 that go along.
Right.
Why don't we call them exactly what they are? Anarchists. They hate the government. You're right about that, and you were being kind. They not only hate, they want to destroy. I believe these people are not patriots. They don't want the government. They want to destroy the government, and they want to start a complete new country because of the Obama coalition. Let's look at what the coalition was.
All right, I'll tell you what, Beverly, love hearing from you, but we're just out of time there, and you've made your point loud and clear. But John, I was just looking here. I can't find it now, but there was an article this morning. Let me just ask you this. This is a critical point for the Tea Party, isn't it? I mean, the Tea Party is going to rise or fall over this. Would you agree?
I don't know. I feel like there's so much I don't know now. I feel like we are just in such uncharted waters. And there's some things that your caller, said that I don't really disagree with in some respects. I do think there's an element of sort of, this is a loaded word, but Marxism is all about, kind of tearing stuff down to start over.
Yeah.
I mean, there is an element of that. I wouldn't ever call these folks Marxists, but there is an element of tearing down to try to rebuild.
Seems to me, this is an extreme strategy, and if it wins, the Tea Party rules.
Oh, it is extreme. They're not going to win.
But if they lose, I think the Tea Party's its influence on the Republican Party will have.
Well, I've heard increasing talk of a Goldwater type candidate in 2016, which would, if it played out like it did in 64.
Yeah, we know what happened to Goldwater. Right. All right, John Moore here, senior. That's why he's good. Senior political reporter for Huffington Post. We'll make you an editor someday.
Yes.
Thanks, John, for coming in.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. Hour number 3 coming up, of course, but you won't see us on Free Speech TV. You can continue to watch the program, however, as well as listen on your local progressive talk radio station. You can watch the program at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV at the top of the next hour. We're going to talk about President Obama jumping into the big flap over the Redskins, saying, yeah, he'd think about changing the name if he were the owner. And Jill Lawrence will join us from National Journal right here. Stay with us.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Or you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov. If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You got it. President Obama is supposed to be in Asia this week. He canceled the trip to deal with the shutdown. That's most of what he'll be doing today, with meetings at the White House. Phone calls were sure to leaders of Congress. Otherwise, he and the Vice President get the daily briefing at 10:15 this morning. And then at 1:30 this afternoon, we will be meeting with Press Secretary Jay Carney for the daily briefing. No word if the president's going to walk out for lunch today. Stay tuned.
This is the Bill Press Show. Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, there you go. 1 month ago, we were talking about bombing Syria. Remember that country, Syria? There's that civil war going on.
How's that? Yeah.
Haven't talked about it for a while.
Remember that?
Haven't talked about it for a while. A month ago, we were talking about bombing them. Today, the news is they have already begun to dismantle and to destroy Syria's chemical weapons. How's that for progress? Give President Obama credit on that one. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Monday, October 7. Here we are. It is the Bill Press Show, and we're booming out to you live from our nation's capital, I should say, Washington, D.C. Shutdown now for the second week of the government shutdown, second week in a row. It is a mess. It is unnecessary. It is reckless. It is hurting a lot of real people, especially those who depend on government programs. But it's happening because John Boehner doesn't give a rat's ass. And Republicans now say, led by John Boehner, that we have now shut down the government. We won't be happy until we destroy the economy of the United States, not to mention the global economy, by failing to raise the debt limit October 17. He announced that yesterday on Fox News, or I don't know, one of the Sunday shows at any rate, proving how totally irresponsible today's Republican Party is. With all of that said, good to see you today. We got a lot to talk about, a lot you're going to want to get into here on the Bill Press Show this Monday morning. You can do so, of course, by joining us on your local progressive talk radio radio station, which many of you already have, by watching us on TawkrTV. Check out the video stream on TawkrTV. That's youtube.com/TawkrTV. Join me in saying hello to our team here this morning, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. Hello, guys.
Good morning.
Hey. Welcome back. Another work week here.
Happy Monday.
Alicia Cruz got the phones covered, waiting for your calls at 866-55-PRESS. And if we look good on TawkrTV, don't thank us. Thank Cyprian Bolding, our videographer, who keeps us keeps the cameras alive and going. Well, in most parts of the country, we're making a lot of progress with marriage equality. 13 states now and the District of Columbia recognizing that members of the LGBT community have every right, as well as anybody else, to get married to people who love each other. I guess that's not going to happen in Pennsylvania for a while. The new Republican governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Corbett, who has proven himself to be an idiot many times over, giving an interview a couple of days ago about what happened was that someone in his administration compared two men or two women getting married to two young kids getting married. And if we allow one, we have to allow the other. Even the governor said that was ridiculous, but then he made a ridiculous statement of his own.
There was a controversial remark made by a member of your legal team comparing gay marriage to the union of 12-year-olds, saying both are illegal, which you called inappropriate.
It was an inappropriate analogy. You know, I think a much better analogy would have been brother and sister, don't you?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I'm gonna leave the comments to you and your team, but.
I mean,
first of all, good for her for saying,
yeah,
dummy.
Right. But what she should have said was, "Are you kidding? You know, you idiot! I mean, brother and sister getting married. That's like, it's so outrageous. It's just hard to respond to. I'm surprised he didn't do what his other Republican from Pennsylvania did and say, you mean like that man on dog? That would be like man on dog, Rick Santorum. Remember that? This is bad.
There's a very weird thing. As he says it, he sort of smiles at her in this knowing, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, this is something that we all
I don't.
understand.
You know?
No,
I mean, why don't they accept the fact, here it is, right? This is pretty revolutionary, pretty radical. Two people love each other. Two grown-ups love each other. They love each other so much, they want to commit to each other for the rest of their lives. End of story. And we ought to say is, congratulations, have a great life. We're there to support you any way we can. Instead, oh, God, so much for him. When we come up a little bit later in this hour, Jill Lawrence from the National Journal will be joining us here in studio. Love having her in studio. And President Obama has stirred things up in the sports world with some comments over the weekend. I'll tell you all about that. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
On this Monday, other headlines making news. An elementary school kid in Massachusetts had quite the excuse note from his mom to leave school early on Friday afternoon. Carrie McKinnon told her son's teacher he had a bad case of Red Sox fever, and the only cure was to go to Fenway Park to Boston's playoff game Friday afternoon against the Tampa Bay Rays. ABC News reporting the teacher laughed hysterically and let the 7-year-old kid go, though not all people approved of that. It's gotten some negative coverage in social media.
Oh, come on. That's great. Let the kid go to the game.
I'm fine with it. But just don't send the kid to school. Just keep him home and take him.
Right, yeah.
I mean, why you're asking for trouble by doing this dumb note.
Making up the excuse is dumb. But let the kid, for the teacher to let the kid out of school to go to the game, Yeah.
Get out.
The only thing I would say, yeah, you can go if you get me a ticket, too.
Actress Kerry Washington sat down with Jon Stewart on The Daily Show late last week to talk about the new season of her hit show Scandal, and said when she visited Washington recently, she was floored with how many people loved her show, but also the fact that Washington insiders she met with said they identified with the show, and that scared her, since it's about a crisis manager who gets into a scandal of her own by sleeping with the president, and she said people in Washington should not be identifying with the plot line of the show.
Well, cancel the show.
And week 5 of the NFL, still 3 undefeated teams. Easily the game of the week, the Denver Broncos going 5-0 by defeating the Dallas Cowboys 51-48 on the last second field goal.
Game.
New Orleans Saints beating Chicago to remain perfect, and Kansas City, under the leadership of Andy Reid, is 5-0, winning over Tennessee. At the opposite end, 2 teams continued their winless streaks yesterday. The former Super Bowl champion New York Giants. They are 0-5 after getting destroyed by Philadelphia. Also, Jacksonville lost to St. Louis. 2 other teams were on bye week. They are winless at 0-4. That's Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay.
But you know what's sad is that fans of teams, when they're all for them when they're winning, and then they start losing and they just desert their team. I think it's terrible.
You never see them wearing the gear anymore.
No, I think it's terrible when people do that.
Yeah.
How are the Giants doing?
They're 0-5. I said that, and I'm still a fan. I am now convinced there is a good chance the Giants could go 0-16 this year.
They really could.
The way that they're
really
playing,
could.
the best chance that they have, I think, is 3-13 at this point. At the beginning of the season, if you asked me, I thought they were going to go either 7-9 at best, or 6. I had them going 6-10. Now, I don't think 0-16 is out of the possibility.
They are unbelievably bad.
It's bad.
I tuned in to watch some of that game. It's cringy bad.
Has any team ever gone the entire season?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, 2 years ago, the Rams, I think, went 0-16.
Detroit. Yeah,
Detroit.
Yeah, sure. Detroit Lions.
Where'd that voice come from?
It's amazing. The guy that knows more about football than any of us doesn't get a microphone. Cyprian's off camera yelling at us.
But he doesn't need a microphone.
We hear him.
All right. Here we go. 15 minutes after the hour. Well, speaking of sports and speaking of football, there has been a little flap. We've talked about it before. And I'm going to try to get through this story without using the name of the Washington football team. But it is offensive, and it offends a lot of people. And there's been a lot of talk for a long time about changing the name, the racist name of Washington's football team. You know what it is. I don't have to repeat it. The Washington Post, among others, for a long time has been beating this drum, saying no matter what it costs, this is the right thing to do. And you wouldn't sit down in front of a group of African Americans and say, when I call you darkies, you have to understand that's a term of affection. It's a term of respect for you. No, you wouldn't do that. And you wouldn't sit down in front of a group of Native Americans and call them the name of the Washington football team either and say, you have to understand, friends, when I say this, it just means I love you. No, wouldn't fly. And you wouldn't do it. People wouldn't do it. But at any rate, that campaign has been going on for a long time, and the owner, Dan Snyder of the Washington football team, almost said it there, has been very adamant, saying, no way, no how, we're not going to change it. And he said, never, never. You can put that in caps, he told a reporter recently. Never are we going to even entertain any change. Well, he always had the support. This story got a little more life a couple of weeks ago because he always had the support of the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, who said it's up to the owner, and people have to understand this is a long tradition. It's a matter of pride, and the people of Washington might not even come to the games if they change the name. So I support whatever the owner wants to do. That changed a couple of weeks ago when Roger Goodell, asked about this by a sports writer, came out and said, no, he changed his mind. Now he says, look, we've got to respect the fans. And if some of them, even one person is offended, then maybe we ought to consider this name change. Here's Roger Goodell.
I think what we have to do, though, is we have to listen. If one person is offended, we have to listen. And ultimately, it is Dan's decision, but it's something that I want all of us to go out and make sure we're listening to our fans, listening to people who have a different view, and making sure that we continue to do what's right to make sure that team represents the strong tradition and history that it has for so many years.
And then the same week, a couple of our best sports columnists, Christine Brennan and the other one, Peter
King.
Peter
Sports
King.
Illustrated.
At Sports Illustrated came out and said they would never use the name of the Washington football team in anything that they wrote from then on, in any of their columns. And so this got a little life, but then Dan Snyder, of course, coming out as adamant as ever that he wouldn't consider it. And then it kind of went away for maybe the last 10 days until just Friday afternoon, President Obama gave an interview with the Associated Press. And he was asked, of course, about the shutdown and about the debt ceiling and about Syria and all that stuff. And then they threw in a question about football and the name of the Washington football team. And I'm sure they were as surprised as the rest of us was, and as surprised as Dan Snyder was, when the president jumped into it with both feet.
I've got to say, if I were the owner of the team, and I knew that there was a name of my team, even if it had a storied history that was offending a sizable group of people, I'd think about changing it.
And the president went on to say, I know some people say, well, this is a Washington tradition, but he didn't buy it.
Native Americans feel pretty strongly about it, and I don't know whether our attachment to a particular name should override the real legitimate concerns that people have.
So suddenly here it is, front and center, with a lot more weight now on one side of this issue, when the president of the United States, who is without doubt our number one sports fan.
Yeah, certainly the most visible sports fan on the planet.
And the most knowledgeable.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Almost, any sport, right? When he comes out on the side of changing the name, you got to listen. But the team shot back right away through their attorney, Lenny Davis, my friend and a good friend of the program here, but he is their attorney. And so he came out and said, here was his response to the president. We at the blank team respect everyone, but like devoted fans of the Atlanta Braves, the Cleveland Indians, and the Chicago Blackhawks from President Obama's hometown, we love our team and its name, and like those fans, we do not intend to disparage or disrespect a racial or ethnic group. No.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. Argument doesn't carry. It doesn't carry. It's a racist name. It is offensive. Change the damn name and then focus on winning some games, right? Get it over with, don't you think? 866-55-PRESS. You know what team I'm talking about. You know what name I'm talking about. I agree with President Obama. If I were the owner, I would have changed it a long time ago. Let's talk about it here Monday morning on The Bill Press Show.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
26 hours.
We redefined time.
26 hours after the minute.
It sounds better that way, frankly.
On a Monday morning. Yes, indeed. President Obama saying if I were Dan Snyder, I'd change the name. I'd think about it anyhow, Peter.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at BP Show. A lot of comments on this.
What name I'm talking about.
Yeah, Francis says, time to change the name. Maybe Washington Red Shirts. That's certainly one idea. G. Kane says, how about that racist tomahawk chant that the Atlanta Braves use? Yes, I agree. That's also extremely racist, and they should probably get rid of that.
I know there was some flap about that. I thought they didn't get rid of it.
Oh, no, it's still in full effect. And Tracy Burridge says, this is interesting, it's only racist because people give it that weight. The team is not using it as such. I took ownership of what people would call a gay slur, so it doesn't hurt me.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. We're on Twitter at BP
I don't think
Show.
Native American slurs or racist terms or gay slurs are acceptable. Either one. On that name change, Marty up in Baltimore, listening on iHeartRadio. Hey, Marty.
Hey, good morning, Bill.
Yeah, what's up?
Love your show.
Thank you.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I don't know if this has ever been discussed yet, but I think a great name would be the Washington Warriors. they could keep the logo, keep the colors.
Yeah.
And warrior is a term of strength and bravery. And I think that would pretty much solve the problem.
I'd go for that, Marty. I think there are a lot of different options. A friend of mine played on a team with the same name out in Chicago in high school, and they changed the name to the Red Hawks. I mean, so, they could even do the song with that, right?
Sure, yeah.
Hail to the Red Hawks. Joseph, quickly in Baltimore. Hey, Joseph, what do you think?
I think they should call the team the Washington Potomacs. The Potomacs were the Indian tribe that were indigenous, and the Potomac River kind of links Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Maryland. It's common to all three where the fan base is.
Yeah.
And as the previous caller said, the logo and so forth wouldn't have to change.
Wouldn't have to change. Yeah, Potomac is kind of an awkward term, but it is a regional term, and it's a term of pride here. The point is, there are lots of options to the damn name they've got now.
This is the Bill Press Show. Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, 33 minutes after the hour now. Here we go on a Monday morning, October 7th. It is The Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital. We're brought to you this morning in part by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, the good men and women of the Teamsters Union. Under President Jim Hoffa, we all live better because of their good work, which you can check out at their website, teamster.org, teamster.org. There is so much going on here in Washington, D.C. It's hard to follow by ourselves, so we have to bring in the help of good friends like Jill Lawrence, national correspondent for the National Journal, good friend of the program, making her way in the studio again this morning. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Bill.
Nice to see you. Have a good weekend.
Yep, it was great. Good to be here.
So the shutdown, which I want to talk to you about, you've been writing a lot about, is ostensibly about the Affordable Care Act. But how is the Affordable Care Act doing? It's not shut down, is it?
Well, it's not shut down. It may be here to stay. A lot depends on how these exchanges get fixed online because people are having a lot of trouble signing up. But that's
Right.
the bad news. The good news is a lot of people really seem to want this product.
Well, before, so that started a week ago tomorrow, October 1, when the exchanges were available. And by then, the law had already been, the law of Obamacare, the law of the land for 3 years, right?
Right.
How was it going before even the health exchanges kicked in? Do we know?
Well, I mean, we know that a lot of people don't really understand it or know what's in it.
But were people using it? Were they taking advantage of it?
They were, whether they knew it or not. I think people who had children in their 20s who didn't have health insurance knew that they were able to keep their kids on their plan.
So that's one good thing, right?
People who were getting preventive care for much cheaper or for free probably didn't realize it was because of Obamacare.
But that had kicked in also, right?
And there were people who have pre-existing conditions who knew that eventually they were going to be able to get coverage. So, I mean, there's a lot.
Kids who had pre-existing conditions could already get
That's
coverage,
right. So parents of children, sick children,
And
knew.
didn't I read also that overall the growth in the cost of medical care had slowed down, hadn't reversed, I guess. But
that's true, although there's some dispute over, I mean, the president takes credit for that slowdown, but a lot of experts say it has more to do with recession and other factors. So that's not yet known. I mean, that's the big thing about this law. It's not yet known. But one of the things that people really miss is that about 7 to 11% of the country says it doesn't like the law because they want single payer or a public option.
Right.
Not because it's a government takeover, because they want more of a government takeover. So the opposition is overstated to some degree.
So it was relatively successful up to October 1. And now let's get to, so the exchanges kick in, and there was a huge amount of interest, right?
I think that everyone was shocked.
How many?
Well, I mean, in the first couple of days, there were more than 8 million people on the federal exchange, which serves 36 states. So, I mean, there's a huge amount of interest. And I think, one of the things that's going on here, and the governor of Kentucky, Steve Beshear, gets at this sometimes, is that if people don't have health insurance, they're not going to tell you that. It's kind of embarrassing. It means you're not middle class. So, I mean, there's this huge rush of people to the exchange to get health insurance. Maybe they'll never tell their friends that this is what they're doing. But that there's obviously a need out there.
Yeah. And now there were some problems with the... first of all, before we get to that, I have not... Well, John Yarmuth from Kentucky, congressman, was on our show earlier this morning, and he said they had... And Kentucky's got a good plan, I understand, and they've done a good job of getting their site up. He said that they had 100,000 people in the first couple of days, and 8,000 signed up. So that's the first number I've heard of actual people not looking, which is important because you look first before you buy anything. Have we heard on the national level how many people have signed up yet?
Oh, well, we actually don't have numbers yet because the feds don't want to give them yet.
Right.
Now, all this is kind of, all of this is really premature in any case because people have until December 15th to sign up for January 1st coverage. They have until March to sign up without getting penalties. So, I mean, in Massachusetts, which is the only example we have of this, people waited till the last minute to sign up.
Oh, they did?
It was the end of December.
All right. Now, the big the other news that we heard about the exchanges, of course, is when so many people went to the site, they had some glitches, as we say. On Saturday Night Live, this weekend, they did a little rundown on the winners and the losers in the government shutdown, apropos of what we're talking about.
Loser, the Obamacare website, which had technical issues all week because of too much web traffic. You can't campaign on the fact that millions don't have health care and then be surprised that millions don't have health care. How could you not be ready? That's like 1-800-Flowers getting caught off guard by Valentine's Day.
It really is, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty embarrassing that they had all that.
It's embarrassing. It really is. I mean, these things are so complicated, and they're doing so many more states than they thought they would do, and they had so much more traffic than they thought they would have. It was kind of this, I hate to use this cliche, but the perfect storm of a mess. And, I think that some people thought they were going to make a point by signing up on day one to show their support for it, and that may be backfiring.
I know. I mean, it's just sad that it had to happen to, because it gives the opposition that much more ammunition. But we were saying here, it's like pro-flowers, to use the Saturday Night Live thing, getting ready for building up to Mother's Day or Christmas and doing or Valentine's and doing this huge advertising campaign, right?
Yeah.
And then their site crashes. I mean,
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy, but people who need health insurance are going to keep trying to get health insurance. So I think that, if it were me, I'd say, let's stop the advertising right now, stop the campaigns, don't have the celebrities tweeting, wait a month or two.
But they shut it down over this past weekend. They shut it down to upgrade it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it.
Yeah. I mean, I think they ought to do big campaigns as deadlines approach.
But I would think, though, that what my takeaway from this is, from the number of people who went to the site, that this is going to work. It is really working, but it's really going to work. And once it does, and the better it works, the less likely the chances. And I think Republicans understand this. We're segueing to the shutdown here, that they're never going to shut it down. Right?
I mean, their rhetoric on this law has been so, which they call a bill, but their rhetoric has been so alarmist on it that I was talking to Ron Haskins, a Republican who worked on the Hill for many years on social issues on the Ways and Means Committee. And I said, what are the chances that when people look back on what Republicans were saying about this law, they're going to go, what the heck were they talking about? And he said 50-50, probably greater, because they've kind of overstated the peril of it in their view. And other people are just going to see it as a marketplace. I mean, I think people are surprised. Some people are surprised they get on it and they see it's not the government offering the insurance. It's the same old insurance companies, Cigna, Aetna.
Except, again, their terms are better and the rates are better.
Right.
I mean, that's another thing which we haven't talked about, is the rates that I've seen, and I went to the website, you can be making a family of four $98,000 a year, and you still qualify for government subsidy.
I think a lot of the rates vary from state to state, and also from person to person. But this is the data that the administration needs. I mean, these are the facts that are needed by putting it into effect. And I think Republicans know that even if they delayed it rather than just defunded it, that's another year of purgatory and chances to slam the law without any real life experience to tell us if it's a good thing, a bad thing, or somewhere in between.
Isn't the greatest fear of Republicans that the exchanges will work, that Obamacare will succeed?
I think it probably is, although I don't really understand why. I mean, this is kind of the basis of the Paul Ryan Medicare plan. It's the basis of bipartisan Ron Wyden and various Republicans, Paul Ryan, Bob Bennett, exchanges for everyone. Let's get rid of employer-based insurance. I mean, it's gotten Republican support in the past.
Well, yeah, and it's the Massachusetts plan, and it's the Heritage Foundation plan.
Right. But
plus, kind of built into your response there is the Republicans haven't shown any better plan. They haven't shown any alternative at all. I mean, the idea, which they used to say, of repeal and replace, we haven't heard that for 3 years.
Well,
they don't have an option.
No, and
they don't have an alternative, right?
I mean, the basic ideological difference here is if you think all people ought to be insured, you put this in place and you find a way to pay for it. If your priority is reducing spending, then your priority is not insuring people. I mean, we see this with the Medicaid expansions, which some governors are rejecting.
And if your priority or just say, if you don't care about people who don't have any health insurance and say, let them just go to the emergency room, which a lot of Republicans do, then you don't want anything to do with something like the Affordable Care Act. Here's my, I'm going to take a quick break. Here's where I think we're going. It's going to succeed. It is here to stay. At someday, it'll be right up there with Social Security and Medicare, and at that time, the only difference is they'll no longer call it Obamacare. Because it will be such a success, they'll call it the Affordable Care Act.
Or something. I think somebody ought to have thought of a good name for it before Obamacare took hold.
Right, because they won't want to call it that, because that would give him credit for something.
Yeah.
All right, now, if the shutdown hasn't shut down Obamacare, what has it accomplished so far, and where are we going with this? Jill Lawrence, she's got all the answers, national correspondent for the National Journal, and you have all the questions. 866-55-PRESS.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is the Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour. Sorry, bite of an apple there during the break. I didn't realize we were coming back so quickly. Jill Lawrence is insane.
Hey, where's my breakfast?
Yeah, sorry.
Jill Lyons is here from the National Journal, national correspondent. Jill, always good to have you with us. Peter?
Hi,
you have
Bill.
a quick story?
Meet my hero. It's a 9-year-old kid who lives in Minneapolis. He's an orphan, and he ran away. He went to Minneapolis Airport.
Unbelievable story.
And what do you do when you're a kid? You have nowhere to go. You get on an airplane.
First plane, you get on it, and no matter where it's going.
He flew to Las Vegas without a ticket. He made it through all the security checkpoints.
He didn't have a ticket. He got on the plane without a ticket.
Flew there. There was some concern.
Amazing.
Yeah, you know, you could do this if you have kids between the age of, I think, like 5 and 11, an unaccompanied minor. And so the stewardesses thought that was the case. But then when they sort of talked to him, they realized he didn't have a ticket. He didn't know where he was going. He had no one to go to in Las Vegas.
And there's
so
nobody with him.
There's
no.
Yeah.
But you know what? Unaccompanied minors, they have little tags.
Right.
So a flight attendant takes them on the plane. I've seen that happen so many times.
How did he get through the scanner with no
That's
ticket?
the big question. That's the big question, that no one's really sure how exactly it happened. They're looking at security
He
footage.
goes to the gate. He's probably there, a couple or parents, adults going in, and whoever there
Went
thought
right by.
he was with them. It's crazy.
But they have to see the ticket.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. Don't try it, Joe. It won't work. So the whole question, watching the Republicans, their approach to this issue does raise the question, whatever happened to compassionate conservatives?
Oh, well, it's a really good question, which I explored in a story last week. And there is kind of an empty space where George W. Bush used to be. When you think about some of the things that he pushed for, and like immigration reform and education reform and the AIDS, HIV program he did overseas, and his new entitlement of prescription drugs, these were things that said, I care. Now we're kind of getting the opposite message in many ways, from food stamps to the shutdown. There's.
I have to feel he's not happy watching what's going on in Washington today with the Republican Party. Remember, this is a guy, and boy, I was never no fan of George W. Bush's on his policies, but when he was campaigning in 2000, he said, chastising House Republicans, you don't balance the budget on the backs of the poor.
Right.
This gang must drive him crazy.
Well, he's been very restrained, both about the president and about his party. So I don't know what he's thinking. I think you may be right. I mean, there are many people in the party who could fill that role, carry that tradition, but they're mostly governors, and nobody's talking, at least directly. Nobody's providing a counterweight to what's coming out of Washington at this point.
Let's say a quick hello to Ken out in Geneva, Illinois. Hi, Ken. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
They gave the Republicans think that because Obama gave the businesses a break and pushed back their requirements for a year, that they could do the same thing with Obamacare, and it wouldn't make any difference. They don't equate to each other. The business people, it was so that the people could get a better deal on their insurance. But the other would be if they didn't give people insurance, a number of them could die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Good point. Good point. I think that argument on part of the Republicans didn't carry much weight. But so now we're in the second week of this shutdown. Do you see any way out of this? I mean, John Boehner yesterday, any hope that he was not crazy enough to let us default on our obligations and fail to raise the debt ceiling was shattered yesterday on in the Sunday talk shows when he said, no, we're willing to shut down or not raise the debt ceiling.
I mean, I think the way, you sort of have this nostalgia for the days when people would repair to Camp David or Andrews or someplace and just close the door and figure it out.
Or Starbucks. I mean, just go across the street.
I mean, I think the way things usually end now is you come to an agreement, and then and part of that agreement is that you agree to talk. And sometimes there's parameters, and the last time, or one of the last times this happened, the sequester was the result, and there was an agreement to talk, and there were people in Congress who were named to talk. and they failed.
Yeah.
And so we ended up with a sequester. So I think if there's anything coming out of this, it'll be a very carefully phrased agreement where people understand ahead of time, what their potential for gains and wins is, as they put it.
Well, I've talked to a lot of people about 1995, the last time, right? And several pointed out that the way that ended was Bob Dole stood on the floor of the Senate, Republican leader, and said, "Enough is enough," and ended it. I mean, can you, in the wildest imagination, see John Boehner doing that?
Well, Bob Dole was running for president, and Bob Dole was what we now would consider a moderate. And I mean, people running
and a leader.
Right. I mean, well, we have people in the Senate who are running for president who are leaders, but in a different way. You have Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. So,
But I mean, the guy right now who's holding it up is John Boehner. Yes, with all due respect, it's not Mitch McConnell, right? It's John Boehner.
No, it's true. He's holding it up. But of course, we're not at October 17th or November 1st. We're not at these critical deadlines.
Yes, and God forbid we do anything before the last possible moment. Anyhow, we got to run. Jill, we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Always good to have your insights and your good reporting there at the National Journal, nationaljournal.com. I'll be back with the parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, yeah, we're still in shutdown a whole week now with no end in sight. And over the weekend, we learned who's really behind it. The Koch brothers. Yep, it turns out. The evil Koch brothers are the big money behind plans to shut down the government over the Affordable Care Act. And that shouldn't surprise us. After all, it was the Koch brothers who led the anti-public employee hate campaigns, getting rid of collective bargaining in Wisconsin, Ohio, and other states. It was the Koch brothers who were behind the stand your ground laws, like the Florida law that George Zimmerman used to murder Trayvon Martin. The Koch brothers are behind all those attempts to suppress the vote in some 30 states last year. And now it's the Koch brothers through Americans for Prosperity who are helping plan and fund the Tea Party support for congressional efforts to shut down the government. That's why I call them the Obama hate machine. If there's something really evil going on anywhere in this country, you can bet the Koch brothers are behind it. Have a great Monday, folks. We'll see you back here again
This
tomorrow morning.
is the Bill Press Show.